in the House Select Committee on China and House Homeland Security, Congressman Carlos Gimenez. Your reaction to that report, because this is concerning and rattling lawmakers in D.C., and also we're hearing the White House as well, that China, also on top of all what Jillian reported, also tried to break into the operator of the Texas power grid. They operate independently from electrical systems in the rest of the U.S. We understand the U.S. electrical system is not connected. But the level of China's intrusion here and their intent is deeply worrying.
Yes, it is. And today we had a hearing in Homeland Security on the cybersecurity issues here in the United States. And yeah, it's becoming more and more apparent to us that China is preparing to launch some kind of a all-out cyber attack on the United States if, in fact, we find ourselves in conflict with them over Taiwan. And what's really scary about it is that it used to take an army of folks launching all of these attacks against us, but now with artificial intelligence, you know, just a handful of people can start to launch cyber attacks all over across the United States using artificial intelligence. So yeah, it's becoming a real threat to the American homeland.
Do you see how they're planting the flag? They went after a port on the West Coast, that's China, saying we could shut down a port. They went into a Hawaiian water system in Hawaii. We can shut down water in Hawaii. They went into Texas's power grid, saying we can shut down possibly Texas's power grid, maybe during a heat wave, who knows?
Yeah, well, they can do that and much more. And so if these are just probing attacks, demonstrations, if you know, for lack of a better word.
But what is the White House doing to stop it? What is the government doing to protect Americans out here?
Well, that's why we had these hearings, and what is the Department of Homeland Security doing to make sure that we are resilient in any attack that China may launch against us? You know, one of the things that I asked is, look, eventually this is going to be artificial intelligence against artificial intelligence, and who has the smarter artificial intelligence is going to win out. But we also have to have resilience so that if, in fact, an attack does penetrate our systems, either the grid, pipelines, et cetera, that we have resiliency so that we can disconnect that and go back to more of a manual method so that we're not as vulnerable as we could be if we just relied on digital systems.
Yeah, I mean, it is likely a good thing that the U.S. power grid is that each state or region has their own systems and they're not interconnected. So that's a good thing. I mean, so there's this concern, and Congressman, you know, you've heard this, the United Nations, they just wrapped up their big climate summit in Dubai, but Al Gore is outraged. There's no mention of doing away with fossil fuels anywhere in the official wrap-up, that they didn't do enough to say, yeah, phase out fossil fuels. I mean, people in Africa and Uganda saying, you want to keep us in permanent poverty. So you have that wing of the Democrat Party pushing on that front. You've got to push back against them from other nations saying, we want economic growth. We want prosperity. Stop telling us what to do. We got to do what we need to get the electricity and the power we need, as this is happening with China.
Yeah, listen. The path to prosperity is cheap energy, and the cheapest energy right now is fossil fuels. That Al Gore can't get these developing countries to say, no, we'll stop using fossil fuels and we'll continue to burn cow dung or something like that is just beyond the pale. And that shows you just how out of touch Al Gore really is. Look, the world is going to need fossil fuels, and they're going to need fossil fuels for a long time, 70, 80, 90 years in the future. And it should be American fossil fuel that should be powering the world. We can reduce carbon dioxide emissions if we just convert our coal to natural gas. And we have an abundance of natural gas here in the United States that we can use around the world.
I got to move to this. Argentina. Argentina, its new president, is rejecting socialism and communism in South America, which is loaded with a lot of nations suffering under communism and socialism. Congressman, you, with your family, fled the Cuban Revolution to come here to the United States. What do you make of Argentina's new president, Javier Milei? He's promising the people of Argentina that he will slash the size of government, and he's doing it. He's delivering. He now recently cut the number of government offices and bureaucracies by a dozen, and he's not finished yet. This is the first time in decades Argentina is not ruled by socialist communists. This is a big turning point in South America's battle against hyperinflation and economic decline.
Yeah, and he's also, he's saying that he wants to dollarize the Argentina economy. The Argentinian economy has got, running at 1,000% inflation and stuff like that. And so this is a breath of fresh air. I hope that the United States actually helps him, supports him. He's a friend of the United States, and unfortunately, far too many times Biden will try to hurt our friends and then help our enemies. This guy is really one of our friends, and I'm glad that some of my colleagues went down there for the inauguration. They got really good vibes out of him and his ministers, and we need to support this and support more of this down in Central and South America. We really need to start focusing on our own backyard and helping our own neighbors. And this is a step in the right direction.
Congressman Jimenez, thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. It's good to see you.